You are about to witness history in the making.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to another Pop Culture Gamers podcast. My name's Haydn. It's show number 111. Can't believe that we're racking up these numbers now. Today is the 28th of March, and I'm not joined by Steve, but I do have a special guest. And I'm going to allow him to introduce himself because there's been a little bit of speculation about who you may or definitely may not be today. So over to you.
Hello everyone, it's Mark here, or Ace Plant Man, or Kitchen Smith, however you know me, and I'm joining Haydn this week. Hi Haydn, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you, Mark. Welcome to the show. It's really nice to have you here after all of your submissions of questions over the last 3 years.
Thank you for having me.
Absolute pleasure, absolute pleasure. So, Mark, I'm sure that everybody will want to know more about you. So do you want to give us a little bit of a potted brief of your sort of like gaming history and all of that that's led you up to being here today?
Sure, okay. So I'm 46 years old, so that will give you some idea of where I started in the kind of late 70s, early 80s. I think I was playing games on a grandstand, plug in the back of your TV, fancy colour one that my dad got me. When I was barely remember with my brother, and then through ZX Spectrums and Commodores and Amstrads, and then into my first console was a Nintendo Entertainment System, the original Nintendo Entertainment System with Zelda, and I still have that in the loft. I keep all my old consoles.
I'm glad I'm not the only one who does that.
My wife keeps telling me I should trade them in because they're probably worth more now, but it's nah. And then after that, then Super Nintendo, and then I went into discs, I think, was it then? And got the original PlayStation. I've been in consoles pretty much all my gaming history until sort of more recently I kind of started sniffing around PC gaming, but I haven't really although I have recently bought a new PC, it's not really a gaming PC, it was more for my wife's business, so I'm interested in that, but not really partaking much.
Yeah, that PC step is a big step.
Yeah, it involves investment that is not the right time, unfortunately, for me at the moment to do it properly anyway.
Well, no, I mean, because we've got the camera on at the moment and you can see my Disco Inferno PC flashing away in the background.
Pretty spectacular.
And what is absolutely amazing is, you know, I paid nearly £2,500 for that. And if you look at some eBay websites, by this, I could take the graphics card out of it and I could sell the graphics card for what the PC is that I bought it for. But of course, the point is, I then wouldn't have a graphics card.
No, you have to rebuy something else.
Yeah, exactly. So it makes it pretty pointless. Although I do have a spare 960 sitting somewhere, so I could still limp along, but it wouldn't be anywhere near the fidelity
not what
that I would
you're
like.
used
to. No, definitely not. Seeing as that my son on my old PC has a 1080 in there, but I could maybe do an evening raid when he's asleep and swap graphics cards over. Never notice.
Better spare than I have in my new PC.
So, what platforms are you on now?
I haven't committed to the new generation yet. I'm still on Xbox One, PS4, and I have Switch as well. So I have all of those, but I'm I think I'm very close. It's my birthday towards the end of April, so I think that's when I'm going to pull the trigger and get ultimately a new Xbox.
Ah, very good.
My PlayStation 10, I bought it originally for MLB The Show because it was exclusive, but this year around, I think it's the week before my birthday, it's released on multi-format for the first time. So there really isn't any need for me to have a PlayStation anymore now. I just don't get on with the controller. That's my biggest gripe with the PlayStation. So it's just, I prefer the Xbox controller, and that's what I'm going to do next, I think, get Series X.
Yeah, I mean, I must admit, in terms of the obviously PS5, because I've got both, my observation is that the new controller is so much better than the PS4 controller.
I have heard that, but it's still not got the offset sticks, though, has it?
No, it doesn't. But you can get alternative controllers that do have the offset sticks, the Hori sort of controllers.
Yeah.
Where you can on the PS4. And also the Astro controllers. If you've seen that one, I can't, did I do it? I don't think I did an unboxing of that. But it's the sort of like PlayStation Elite controller. But one thing that's always frustrated me with PlayStation controllers, the non-standard ones, is unless you got a custom build of an original one, so somebody's added to it. If you went and bought one of the not PlayStation branded ones, there's always something missing.
Yeah.
Like the 6-axis isn't there, or
yeah,
on the Hori one that I've got, but Alan's got the same one, but an updated version. Mine didn't have the audio jack, and it didn't have the 6-axis.
It's compromises.
There's always a compromise somewhere, or even the like Elite one, the £180 one that I've got, that one can't turn the console on. You have to physically switch the console on, and then it has to sync up. And it's just
got
like
to get out of your seat.
Yeah, exactly. Or start it up with a normal controller.
Yeah,
which is just probably that amount of time is just long enough for that controller to last before it dies, like they normally do on PlayStations. To be fair, because they have about a 5-minute lifespan.
I don't know whether Scuff make a PS5. Have they jumped on yet?
I haven't had a look, to be fair, because I was looking at their is it Vantage controller, which had the offset sticks for the PlayStation, but then I ended up going with the Astro version, and it was because that you could swap the sticks around as well, so you could change the orientation how you wanted, which I thought was quite neat.
Yeah,
ended up being more of a gimmick.
Can you switch them with the D-pad? Is that
yes.
one?
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
If I carry on, my occupation is a chef, and so the last 12 months hasn't been a fantastic time for me. I've been furloughed, so it hasn't been the end of the world, but it's just finding things to do, or otherwise my wife finds things for me to do, which it's not the best situation for months on end, really.
No, wives have a tendency of doing that as well, don't they? But if you find something for your wife to do, they tend not to like it.
No, not the way you do it. Anyway, I don't know. I don't know why that is, really.
No, it's just part of being a married man, isn't it?
Yeah, afraid so. We learn to live with it, though.
We do. So, I mean, it must be really quite difficult. Keep going in and out of being furloughed. Were you furloughed in the? Well, presumably you were furloughed in the first lockdown. And
yeah, originally I finished last year. I finished at sort of third week of March, and then we closed down and went back on the 4th of July. So that was quite a long time. Although the summer was pretty amazing weather. It was down south here where I am anyway. So that got loads done in the garden and that kind of thing, and lots of walking. But then back on the 4th of July until, when did we break again? October, the end of October, wasn't it? We had the November lockdown. And then open from the end of November to Christmas, and then Christmas, and I'm finally going back in tomorrow. So Monday, if you're listening to this. So, and Christmas to now has been a long time because the weather's not been good, really, generally. It's just been more difficult to get outside, really, especially with homeschooling as well.
I was going to say
kids have gone back now, but it dragged on for all of us through sort of January, February, March. It's good to go back, definitely.
Have you done a lot of gaming during your furlough time?
Yes, I've been doing more than I usually get time for, that's for sure. Work is sort of reasonably long hours, so I don't always get massive amount of time. So it's been, in that respect, in my gaming career, it's been quite a good time, quite a boost for it. Not that I'm much of, you wouldn't know that if you look at my game score, because I don't pay a lot of attention to achievements, but yeah, I've played more than I would normally do, for sure.
Yeah, well, achievements are either one of those things of you go for or you don't go for at all, I think.
It's nice if they pop up for me on the screen, especially if it's a game that I have games that I've bought on release and played them for about an hour or two, and then it's been months before I've gone back. And if you switch them on again now and something pops up after half an hour, that's quite good to see. But it's not something I really look up or look for while I'm playing. Yeah,
I know what you mean. That's it. It's not for everybody. For me, I'm an achievement whore, as you know.
No.
Looking at my gamers card this month, I've had 12,300 gamer score.
That's crazy. That's a third of my total, I think. And I've had my game. Well, the gamer tag that Ace Plantman that was my original gamer tag, I've actually pretty much given that to my son now. So because he plays every day, and he's probably added almost as much to it now as I did in the first place. So I thought he may as well have that. So now I have Kitchen Smith. That's one I started, but I've only had that for a couple of years, or a year or two, I think.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm sort of, for me, what I'm trying to do is trying to see how close to 500,000 gamer score I can get by the end of the year. I'm currently...
I can't imagine that.
It just seems ridiculous. I mean, a couple of years ago, I had like 100-something thousand gamer score, and it's just shot and shot up. I got, what was it, about 65-70,000 gamer score last year, and I thought I was doing well. But this year, for some reason, I decided, oh, wouldn't it be really good if I got 120,000 gamer score in the next 12 months? That's 10,000 a month. That's
crazy. That's working from home for you, you see.
And do you know what? I really wish it was, but it's I'm absolutely stowed out when it comes to work. You know, because work still takes up the same amount of hours, no matter how that you do it. But it's some of it's about being creative in terms of what games that you're actually choosing, because there are some easier ones nowadays. But so far this year, because bearing in mind it was like 380,000. I've got 416,298 on Gamerscore.
That's amazing.
It's probably a worrying addiction that I need counselling for, to be fair. But you've got to have a hobby.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, absolutely. So what sort of games do you normally go for? What are your favourites?
If I was actually just had my Xbox on looking at what I've been playing, I have my staples tend to be sort of sport related, FIFA, bit of the 2K21 PGA. That was a real revelation. I bought it when it was released, and it really does capture the kind of the old Tiger Woods kind of golden day of golf games, I would say. It is very close to getting back to that level. So I've been playing that. Bit of FIFA and a bit of MLB, but the PlayStation's in the main room in the house, so I don't tend to play the PlayStation as much now. But yeah, that's my staples really. Non-sports related, it's either Skyrim is a good fallback game, still playing it even after all of these years, and I've completed it loads of times, but still play it now and again. And I'm one of the weird guys that likes Ghost Recon Breakpoint. I really love that game. Completed it ages ago, but still wander around and find little side missions and things to do, fly around in a helicopter. It's a great game for all its little quirks.
that's a game I want to get back into because I played it when it first came out, being a big fan of Wildlands. Did you play Wildlands?
Hundreds of hours into Wildlands.
Fair enough.
And then I graduated into Breakpoint, which took some adjustment because I think the difficulty at the beginning in Breakpoint is higher. It's harder to start with, but once you level up and upgrade your weapons, it all kind of balances out. But yeah, Wildlands first and then Breakpoint.
Yeah, cool. Because when it first came out, if I remember rightly, Wildlands, there was a lot of Breakpoint, there was a lot of problems with it, wasn't there? But they've cleaned it up, I understand, since then.
To be honest, I think the main issue people had was repeating of assets is a big thing because you'll get random placements of two guys stood next to a motorbike. And if you walk through the world rather than, well, even if you go in a car, but as you're walking through, you'll get two guys on a motorbike every less than a quarter of a mile, and it'll just be two guys on a bike, or three or four guys in a car. And that kind of takes away the sort of immersion of it a bit. It's that whole repetition. I actually booted up Wildlands recently just to have a look at it again, because I've played Breakpoint so much recently. And there are definitely aspects of Wildlands that I think they lost in Breakpoint that were superior. The fact that in Breakpoint you only really have one enemy, and the drones, which is the same company, same enemy, I think lost an element of sort of diversity in the gameplay, definitely.
Yeah.
And the environments, I think, in Wildlands are better as well. I think the actual environment, the world you play in Wildlands is better, I think, than Breakpoint.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I love both games, but it's part of the nature of the beast is doing a show like this is, unless it's something that really, really gets you at that moment, you tend to have to move away from stuff quite quickly. So I certainly noticed a difference in terms of my gameplay to how I did before, but it's great when you get a game like, obviously you've really enjoyed Breakpoint, Wildlands, and get in there and do hundreds of hours on it, thinking about the thousands of hours Steve and I have plugged into Destiny 2.
Yeah.
It's great when it's like that.
I was just going to say, when I bought Wildlands, I bought it pretty much not straight on release, but soon afterwards. I didn't get into it straight away by a long stretch. I started it, thought, okay, this is okay, and then got distracted by something else. And I don't think I went back to it for about 4 or 5 months. But then once I went back to it, and I was, obviously maybe slightly different mindset or what have you, and that's when it started to hook me in. Then,
yeah,
it wasn't straight away.
I suppose the good thing is as well that it was the first few months that was all of the people had issues with it as well, didn't it? So it got cleared up for you by the time.
All the updates and things, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's one thing that's good about this time now is because there's so little coming out and a lot less than what we would have expected as well, it's a good catch-up time.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah.
Very rare that we get those sort of days.
Yeah, and you're getting not so much with games, I don't think, but you're getting movie delays and things being put back all the time, just, I guess, because people don't think the market is there at the moment for it, perhaps.
So are you a big movie or music fan? Music,
definitely. Movies, certain ones, not. I don't watch movies regularly.
Yeah.
As I'm sure you'll find out. I'm not one thing you and Steve talk about and tends to kind of get me looking somewhere else for a while is when you start talking about Marvel or DC. I'm not. My family are massive fans, and I'll just go and play a game or listen to some music or something like that.
Well, we can't all be into the same stuff.
No, that's true.
That's true. So, well, that's great. It's absolutely fantastic to have you here. So, shall we go into gaming this week?
Sure.
No longer a dream, but a reality.
All right, so gaming this week, and Mark, I'm going to let you go straight off with the news that you've brought for us on the Baftas.
Okay, so we've got, it was the Baftas in the week just gone, and let me just find the notes. So the big winners really were Hades, which is PC, and I found out obviously it's Switch as well. I've not tried it. Have you tried it?
Yeah, it's the one of the two games out of my about 150 games on the Epic Game Store that I've purchased.
Wow.
All of the other ones have been the ones I've
with
got
your
free.
money.
Yeah, I actually parted with my money. It's sort of like a roguelike dungeon crawler sort of thing with a Diablo, isometric.
Yeah, I've watched a bit of it. I kind of know where it is. Apparently, it's the kind of the characters in the game and the storyline and the way that develops that is the real making of it. I mean, the game itself, for me, isn't really that. I'm not into that kind of view and that style, that sort of isometric worlds. I've never really played WoW, which is kind of what it slightly reminded me of, although a large, the camera is closer. Yeah. And I don't, Diablo as well. I've not tried that because I just don't connect so well with that kind of game, I don't think, really. But it is meant to be very, very good.
Yeah, for me, I prefer Diablo. I have to be honest about that. But in terms of it looks really good. It's got a nice sort of cartoon presentation in the way that it is. It doesn't look like Diablo or some of the other ones.
Yeah,
it is much more cartoonish in its look, but I think that's for a positive for it because it makes it quite distinctive.
Yeah. So then we had the EE Fan Game of the Year, they're calling it. And that went to The Last of Us 2 got that one, which was quite a good coup for Sony, really, I would have thought. Quite a
definitely one of the last two big ones of the PS4 generation. Have you played Last of Us 2?
No, I haven't played the first one either. I know, I'm missing out. My PlayStation really has just gathered dust. I'm ashamed to say it because I know I miss out on the exclusives. But I don't know. It messes me around when I boot it up sometimes, and it just doesn't seem to run as well or as smoothly. So I don't tend to use it as much. Or maybe that's just a bad machine, I think. But
possibly. I mean, in terms of The Last of Us 2, it's a good game. Interesting way that the narrative sort of went. There was one or two bits in there. There's this one bit where, excuse me, you're in a hospital and you have to kill someone. And I tried not to kill them, but it didn't give you that as a narrative option. And it would have been a lot better to have, made that differentiation in the game.
Yeah,
but it's a very interesting. Last of Us 2, certainly a very interesting take on someone out for revenge at all costs.
Right. And also the what's her name? Is it Laura Bailey? Won the best voice acting, I think, as well, didn't she? Performer in a leading role, it says. I didn't put it in the notes, but yeah, she got the award for best performance as well. And then we had the best audio in a game, which went to Ghosts of Tsushima. Again, I've not tried it, but I've seen it, and I think it looks pretty damn amazing. And I know you liked it, didn't you? It
was absolutely fantastic. It was one of those games, though, that once I'd finished it, that was it, because I platinumed that one. And because that's the other thing, I also collect trophies as well.
Yeah.
So I have a problem. I need to speak to someone about it. But that was a fantastic game. It's absolutely beautiful. And ironically, I did that game to death in a week, and I did 40 hours on the game and did everything that I could that was in the game up until that point. And then I sold it back, and it only ended up costing me £3.
Wow, value.
Yeah, exactly. Which is why, because I paid full price. I had the disc version. And now on the PS5, you can actually play 60 FPS mode, and it's supposed to be absolutely fantastic. They haven't done an they haven't, done a PS5 specific version, but it's one of these things where they've unlocked the potential for higher frame rates and that sort of thing on the game.
Right. I think you'll get a sequel for the PS5, I would imagine.
Yeah, I'm sure that there'll also be an updated, what do you call it? Like they did with Last of Us Part 1.
Oh, like an enhanced.
Enhanced or remastered. That's the term, isn't it? Remastered.
Yeah, remastered. That's the one. There was a Best British Game. That award went to Sackboy, The Big Adventure, another Sony and Hades, eh? Loving it at Baftas. This one surprised me somewhat. The Best Evolving Game went to Sea of Thieves.
Yes.
Now, I played that in the early days, but I've not been back to it recently. So I'm assuming it's maybe quite a different game now. They
do keep dropping a lot of content for it, but I played a little bit of it. It's one of those things I think you're supposed to play it as a group.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time I'm playing on my own, and it's just, I never got it.
Same here. That was the reason I kind of stopped as well. I was meeting, sort of working together co-op with a few randoms, but it's not the same as playing online with friends. You don't have that kind of understanding as much.
No, exactly. And it was up against some stiff competition when you look
at it. It was, yeah. You had Destiny 2, which continues to carry, is a tour de force that just keeps going on. Dreams, do you know the PlayStation game? It's like a game creating game, if you see what I mean, and you can play other people's creations. That's quite interesting, actually. I saw that at EGX just before it was released.
Yeah, I've never actually played that game. I have to.
It's just it's almost like a portal into other people's games. You go into it, and it's you can choose create your own game or play others. It's quite, some of the things people do, obviously, when you put that kind of software out there, is amazing. But it's just a case of finding them, finding the gems.
They did something similar on the PlayStation, but they closed that, didn't they? Was it Sparkle or something like that?
On the Xbox, you mean?
Yeah, sorry, on the Xbox. Sorry, not on PlayStation.
Yeah, Project Spark.
That was it. Yeah.
Yeah, early days of kind of Xbox One. That was, and I don't think it ever got a full proper release. I think it was only in a kind of sort of beta early access mode.
Yeah, you got it for free, basically.
Yeah. So you had Destiny 2, Dreams, Fall Guys. Big news at the moment. No Man's Sky, that was there, and Fortnite.
Yeah, I mean, all of those are ones that are dropping new content all the time. I mean, the last time I played Fortnite, it was just to really get Mondo the Mandalorian, which you had to play about 2 games and then you could get it. That was the only reason why I played it, but because I generally don't like that game. But No Man's Sky. I mean, I liked No Man's Sky when it was released, but it didn't fill up a potential that it was supposed to.
No.
But after that, they've added so much free content. I think Hello Games should really be recognised for, they took it on the chin. They were thrown under the bus by Sony. And not only that, but Sony then reversed the bus up and over them several times before they spun off into the sunset. With the No Man's Sky exclusive for PlayStation.
Yeah, timed exclusive.
Yes. That word that they always forget to add at the end of every exclusive statement. So, I'm surprised No Man's Sky didn't get it because they've done some fantastic content on there.
And I believe it's on Game Pass, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
I mean, nature of that award, but they're all quite old games, aren't they? Really. I mean, I know if it's evolving, then you are looking at games that have been out for maybe a year or 2. But some of those, I mean, No Man's Sky is early days of PS4, Xbox One generation, isn't it? I think.
Well, Destiny 2 is as well.
Yeah.
Destiny is, but Destiny 2's sort of like mid-cycle. Fortnite has been around for a while now.
Yeah.
But I suppose it's the nature of the beast, isn't it? Because it's evolving games.
Yeah. And I've just got one last. There were others, but I've got one last of note. Game Beyond Entertainment. There is the title of an award, and that went to Animal Crossing: New Horizons.
Never played Animal Crossing.
No, I mean, if Steve were here, he'd say it was a kids' game. But I know plenty of adults.
Way to alienate our Nintendo players.
Yeah. It does. I listened to him say that Nintendo is a kids' console, and I just want to urge him to pick up a Switch. Does he own a Switch?
No. The only Switch he owns is a light Switch.
He really should pick one up, because you can get plenty on there that are not kids' games, and even what he considers a kids' game is still pretty damn entertaining.
Well, I mean, one of my favourite games of the last generation was Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice.
Yeah.
And I've got that on the Switch. And I'll tell you what, it punches just as well as the Xbox One and PlayStation 4.
Yeah.
It looks beautiful on there, plays really well. With the Pro Controller, it's absolutely brilliant as well.
Yeah.
And that is not a kid's game.
No, not at all.
I think... Sorry, go on.
No, I was going to say, do you tend to use your Switch plugged into the TV or handheld?
Into the TV mostly.
Yeah, so you're testing the graphics on any game you play then, really, on a Switch. Yeah. Especially if it's enlarged that much.
Yes, because I've got a 43-inch TV that I play all my games on, 4K one. But so it's really... for me, the Switch is probably my least played piece of kit other than my PSVR.
Right. I ummed and ahed about VR for about the last, pre-pandemic, for maybe 18 months now, and I just don't think I'd use it enough, really.
No, I don't.
Not the PSVR, anyway. I think what would interest me more, which is much more recent release, is the Oculus Quest, or the Quest 2, I think they're on now, aren't they?
Yeah, Quest 2.
And that can be wireless, essentially, can't it?
Yes.
I think. So, albeit with a slightly reduced power, I believe, when it isn't plugged into a PC.
Yeah, I believe you can wirelessly transmit from your PC to the Oculus Quest 2 as well, if you've got a good enough graphics card.
Right. But that, I think now, that the PSVR is just not really an option. Now, I wouldn't spend, if you're going to spend what, you can pick them up fairly cheap now, can't you? About 120. I would just put the extra with it and probably get an Oculus now.
Yeah, well, there are talks about PSVR 2 is coming out with redesigned controls that look much more Oculus Quest sort of style.
It's only one cable, I believe. The VR2, PSVR 2.
Yeah,
a bit more of a worthy update, I would say. It needed it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, in terms of at the setup I've got here, the PS5's in my games cinema room, and then the main room has the PlayStation 4 Pro that was in the games room, but I moved it into the living room, and that's where the PSVR can be used because it's got the most room.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah.
You need the space.
Definitely. Because my son, he keeps wanting to borrow my, my Dell VR headset. And he keeps begging me to borrow it, but he nearly wrecked one of the stands at Insomnia with VR. I am not joking. He nearly knocked the wall over because the guy who was supposed to be watching him wasn't watching him. And I was sort of like, that slow motion when he's going, stop. And he nearly knocked the blooming wall down. It was...
You'd have been ejected.
Yeah. So I'm not going to let him, because he's got his, as he calls it, study. But he's, basically his video game room. Or third bedroom, as it's otherwise known. And he doesn't have a lot of space in there. I've said, no, there's no way you're borrowing VR in there.
No.
The controllers
there
will be
wouldn't be any room left.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, well, that's great, Mark. So, yes, good. But do we know what about the graphics best graphics. You know what got that? Was that Ghost of
Let me just
Tsushima,
check.
or was it?
There's an artistic achievement, and Last of Us 2 got animation. Artistic achievement went to Hades.
I'm really surprised that Hades won it over Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah,
it's a nice looking game, but it ain't that good.
no, I agree. But then artistic achievement isn't necessarily beautiful, is it? It's more of a stylized award, I would say, maybe.
Oh, well. It was just a thought. It was just a thought. But sticking with the talk about the Switch, there is rumours afoot about the Switch 2.
I have heard those.
This is the latest rumour from Bloomberg Japan that suggested that the new Switch will be released later this year with a 7-inch 720 OLED. It'll be DLSS equipped, have a better CPU, and will retail at $399.99 and will output to a TV at 4K.
Yeah, it's got the new NVIDIA chip, isn't it, that can do 4K output to the TV, I believe.
Yeah, and was it dynamic layer super sampling or whatever DLSS stands for?
Yeah.
Can't remember what it stands for.
Exactly. Yeah,
that's the code word for making the graphics look even more pretty than they already are.
Yeah, smoothing out the edges.
Yeah, and will be backwards compatible with the existing Switch,
which is good.
Yeah, but that's pretty much a standard sort of Nintendo thing, though, isn't it? In terms of the latter, well, from the Game Boy really onwards, I would say they've tended to do a lot of that. You know, other than a jump to something completely different, like the N64 to the Wii.
Yeah,
that's
different controls, though, wasn't it? Really,
yeah,
that's the issue there.
Yeah, completely different sort of equipment.
But even on the current Switch, you can get the if you have Nintendo Online, which I think is a bargain for what it is, really. You can get the Super Nintendo Online and just stream the games. There's quite a few on there, and even the original Nintendo Entertainment System has a section on the store where you can play all of the old, or a lot of the old original Nintendo games as well. So even if they don't take the original hardware cartridges, you can still play the ROMs, as it were.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. It's a lovely little machine, is the Switch.
Yeah, I agree.
Which Switch do you have, the original or the Lite?
No, I have the original. We bought it, I don't know whether it was release or very close to release. Yeah, I was really pleased with it. I have had issues with stick drift on the Joy-Cons, but usually just a recalibration fixes the worst of it anyway. It's I haven't had to send one away yet, thankfully. Yeah,
evidently the physical to physically fix it is a very simple sort of unplug something, plug something else back in. And
yeah, I've heard that as well.
Because I think if and when I get it, I might do that myself.
Yeah, I've been surprised at how much you notice it as well. I mean, we occasionally just have a family Mario Kart time on the Switch into the TV, which is great fun. Recommend it to anyone. But if you've got stick drift, obviously you steer in a certain direction all the time.
Yes, and it's really
and you're having to work against that all the time as well.
I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, it's really, really annoying when that happens.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell us about Xbox Live being dead?
Yes. Well, that was announced this week that Xbox it's not killing it off, but it's rebranding Xbox Live. I'm not sure how I feel about this, but Xbox Live is now rebranded as Xbox Network. The name change is intended to bring all various online services together, as well as distinguishing it from Xbox Live Gold, the paid-for service that sits on top of the Xbox Live and is required to play online. The Gold membership will keep its name, but there will be no other use of Xbox Live on the console anywhere else, so they say. Microsoft say. Yeah, so that's... I think I prefer Xbox Live, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
You?
I can understand why. I can understand why they've done it, but it's one of those PR stunts that only PR people will think it's a good idea, I think.
Yeah, and I know it's incorporating other services, So maybe Xbox Live Network would have worked. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just use both.
If they hadn't have named the device after it, Xbox Connect.
Yeah, that would have been... They ruined that one though, didn't they?
Yeah, they did.
To spell it properly.
Yeah.
This time.
So another news with Microsoft as well is that there's been some talk about Microsoft has been approached about the sale of Discord for $10 billion.
That's crazy.
Now,
I know. That valuation.
Yeah, you think that they must just pull these things out of a hat, really. Because I can't see how Discord ever makes that much money, but evidently they do. But in terms of this, there was a lot of speculation, Microsoft's going and buying even more up. No, Microsoft were approached to buy it, but evidently the deal hasn't been done, and instead it looks more likely that Discord is going to be floated on the stock exchange, just like Roblox was recently.
Yes, which was last week, wasn't it? Or
it was.
Maybe 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, floating a company that lost $250 million last year. That's a great idea, isn't it?
Yeah.
How on earth that has lost money, I don't know. It must be some bad mismanagement.
I mean, Discord is heavily used now, but I just don't know where they get $10 billion from.
No, it's
really
a crazy evaluation. Absolutely crazy. But it'll be interesting to see where that goes, because we know that Microsoft's bought up everything and her grandmother.
Yeah.
But
they paid, was it 750 million for Bethesda?
I thought it was $4 billion.
750 million, yeah, sorry. That's what they paid for Bethesda, I think, wasn't it?
I thought it was more than that.
Was it? Oh, I got that wrong.
I really can't. I thought it was in the billions, I have to admit.
Let me have a look. Great radio.
It gets cut.
7.5 billion.
Was it 7.5? Yeah.
7.5 billion. I missed a few zeros off.
Yeah, I thought it was. I knew it was in the billions, but I must have been thinking about the amount that Disney paid to LucasArts for Star Wars. That was $4 billion.
I think Discord is, even at those prices, is making Bethesda look like a bit of a bargain.
Yeah, because Bethesda was part of another company.
Yeah, that's true. But we'll see.
So, do you want to tell us about Outriders?
Right, so Outriders, people have been caught cheating, and they will be branded as a cheater with a visible watermark added to their design. Serves them right.
I think it's a fantastic idea, because then you can visually see who's a cheater.
Yeah, it's bring it into more games, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, and I mean, that game's going to be free from day one on Game Pass as well, which is another great thing.
Yeah, fantastic, yeah.
And the last bit of news, and this is something that's going to impact on me, and I don't know about yourself as well, but obviously probably not quite as much because you're not that much on the Sony side, but the PS3 and PSP stores are closing from 2nd of July, with the Vita store closing in August. Now, for me, this really makes me think about that bright digital future.
Don't say things like that. I mean, 95% of my purchases of the last, certainly this generation, have been digital. But how long has it been since those machines were released? They've had value.
Yeah, but I've still got stuff that I would consider going back to on those machines that's digital. But if they remove the ability from, I mean, is this, because what we don't know is what we don't know, and that is this the removing the ability to buy stuff but you can still download, or is this removing the ability to buy and download when they talk about the store? If
you own a PlayStation 3 disc, you can't play that in anything but
PlayStation 3.
But PlayStation. What about? Could you do it in the original release PS4? Didn't that have backwards? No,
it was the PS3 had backwards compat with the PS2.
The early, right?
And then they took it off.
Yeah, but that's just, I guess, shows the different attitudes of Sony and Microsoft.
Yeah,
I would say.
I really can't quite understand why Sony wants to continuously shoot itself in the foot when it comes to backward compatibility. Everybody wants it. Microsoft have proved it.
Yeah.
And only Sony seems to think it's a bad idea.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, like we said earlier, Nintendo support it in a different way, maybe, but in a slightly different way. But like you say, it's just Sony, isn't it?
Well, I mean, one of the things that I'm seriously thinking of doing at the moment is buying a USB hard drive, because you can plug those into the PS3, going on the store and downloading everything I own on the store to an external hard drive, because I don't know whether or not I'm going to be able to get them back.
I would say that's probably a good idea.
Yeah.
The file sizes are not going to be that huge from a PS3 era. I wouldn't have thought.
They're going to be DVD size, so that's going to be, 4.7 gig.
Yeah.
So a 1 terabyte hard drive would be probably more than
easily,
enough.
yeah.
But,
easily enough.
But it's the Vita, because I still play the Vita. I'm not ready to say hasta la Vita, baby, to it.
Nice. It does say just the stores, though, doesn't it? So that means you're not going to be able to purchase any more digital content, I guess.
I'm not bothered about not being able to purchase it. My main thing is about being able to just
games.
Well, the thing is with the Vita, it had a proprietary memory card which was very, very small. And if you wanted something that was anywhere decent size, you were paying a lot of money. So you could only have 3 or 4 games on your Vita at a time. And then you've got to swap it in and out. So if you don't have the store, what about, if you've got 3 or 4 games on there, but like me, I've got 40 or 50 Vita games.
Yeah.
How can I go back and get those games?
You can't access them through a PlayStation on your PC, PlayStation Store?
They'll probably
you wouldn't be able to download them, though, would you?
I've been looking at some videos that show you how to legitimately, supposedly, download your Vita games that you own from your Vita to your PC, and you can back them back up that way.
Right.
But I don't particularly want to have that storage on my PC, because even at 400 or 500 megabytes per game, that's still going to eat up. When you got 40 or 50 games, it's going to be a good few hundred gig at the end of it. So I don't know. For me, I can't see how they can not let you have access to your digital content.
No, me neither. I think it's, what have you paid for at the end of the day, I suppose? The license, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. But I suppose we'll find out more at the end of March, because it's going to be the Sony releasing further information about it.
This coming week.
Yes, indeed. So do you want to do the game releases?
I can do new releases, yeah, sure. So we have coming on the 29th of March, we've got Doom 3 VR edition. That's on the PS4 and PS5. Then on the PC, we have Shelter 3 on the 30th. Then we have something I've not heard of. I saw Black Clouds, pretty much everything. PC, PS4, Xbox One, Switch. That's coming on 30th March. Narita Boy, PC, PS4, Xbox One and Switch. Evil Genius 2, World Domination. That's just on the PC. Kingdom Hearts HD, 1.5 and 2.5 remix. That's just on the PC. Good old Square Enix. Then we have Kingdom Hearts again HD 2.8 Final Chapter Prologue on the PC. And then Kingdom Hearts Melody of Memory on the PC as well, all on the 30th of March. And then, last but not least, we have Outriders coming pretty much for everything, even Stadia. That's coming on the 1st of April.
So some good games there.
Stadia is trying to have a bit of a resurgence, isn't it?
I think it is, but that's I don't think it's going to get anywhere, because obviously Google have pulled out of Stadia development now. Yeah. So that, to me,
it's a dead duck, I think.
Yeah, I think it's a dead duck. It's just gonna. It's Stadia is having the death scene of the Sheriff of Nottingham on
in the final throw.
With Kevin Costner there in Prince of Thieves. It's going to be that long drawn out. Yeah, that is Stadia if it was a movie.
Yeah, pantomime, really.
Yeah, exactly. We haven't got any games releases for Xbox Live or PlayStation Plus because they haven't been announced as of Sunday. But we do have a couple of Epic games. So on Epic at the moment, there is Creature in the Well, and that is available until the 1st of April, I believe. And then from the 1st of April, it's Tales of the Neon Sea, rather. So no idea what that one is.
Good.
It's obviously an indie sort of game. So
I've been playing one of those recently.
Well, it's time to tell us about your gaming. So I'm going to let you go first with all of the games. So
Sure.
I've tried the first one that you're going to talk about.
When did you try that? This weekend?
Yes, just before, because I knew you said you were going to talk about it. So I thought I'll give it a go and see what I think.
So I've been playing, the first game I'm talking about is called The Falconeer. And I had a flick through Game Pass, and they've added quite a bit in the last couple of weeks, as well as the Bethesda games all added. They've put a few others on there, and this is an indie game. It's actually made by one man, this game. It's not his first game by any means. He's had quite a Thomas Saller, his name is, and I think he's Dutch. He lives near Amsterdam. And he had quite a successful mod that he made for Skyrim originally, and he had worked for a development company. And then I think he got a bit disillusioned by it all and went on his own. If you see pictures of him online, he looks like a bit of a Viking. He's got long curly hair and he looks quite grisly, but he's a nice guy, apparently. So The Falconeer is quite a quirky little game. You are a pilot, essentially, of what they call warbirds, which is a big bird, falcon, bird of prey. It's quite chilled, quite relaxed until you get to kind of battle moments, and then it becomes a little bit more engaging. But it's really quite a quirky little game. I quite enjoyed playing it, but what got me really is the voice acting is just bizarre. It really is. I mean, it is some parts of it. You have a wingman in the first chapter, and he's Irish with quite a strong Irish accent. But it's almost like he's been voiced from the school of kind of Dick Van Dyke Cockney Irish accent. And all of the kind of characters in the game are coming from that sort of direction, if you see what I mean. It's really, I could understand someone being quite off-put by it, and just thinking this is ridiculous, I'm not going to bother with it. But if you can see through that or hear through that, the story itself didn't really engage me anyway. But essentially it's different factions in a sea world with quite small island bases. So most of the time you're taking off from your base, flying across the sea to complete missions, which then you gain credits for. Usually they're taking out pirates or destroying pirate airships, that kind of thing, escorting other ships. You get credits for completing the missions, and then you start to be able to buy upgrades on your bird. That whole kind of familiar mechanic, really. The environments are quite sort of chilled out. I found it almost at times when you're flying to your mission, that can take a couple of minutes sometimes, and you get almost that kind of feeling of, do you remember Flower?
Yes.
And Journey on the old kind of PlayStation games? You get that kind of feeling a bit because you're usually flying through clouds. You're never very high in terms of altitude. It has some interesting mechanics, and in terms of the way you recharge your weapon, you can fly through storms, that kind of thing, and the lightning recharges your weapon. It's quite a good little game. The dogfighting initially in the first chapter, it was all quite a nice sort of gradual increase in difficulty. I got to the second chapter, and then you start fighting against more kind of insect wasps. They're kind of like wasps, pirates riding wasps. And that's much harder, really. The step up is, I don't know whether I've missed something, because you move to a different base in the second chapter. So I don't know whether I've missed a lot more progression and ability to upgrade, but it becomes a lot more difficult. But even with that, I am quite enjoying it. I think I'll give it a bit more time. I'd kind of recommend it generally, the Falconeer. After that, because it was a sort of flying sim, today I thought I would go back and try Assault Horizon, which I bought. It's a few years old, quite a few years old now, but I bought it close to release again, but I hadn't played it for a long time.
Yeah.
And I just thought, I wonder how that would compare. And there is no comparison, basically. It's wasn't expecting it to be, but you've played it, have you? Assault Horizon?
Is it Ace Combat 7?
Yes.
Yeah. I've played that one. I must admit, in terms of that, I got really frustrated with that game because I don't know if my PlayStation was glitching, but what I found was when I was playing the game, when you hit your sort of like milestone point, because some of them you have to like stay alive for a certain amount of time or defend something, and if you were not in a position where the game had programmed or expected you to be, it would fail you, even though you'd done what it said, which was to survive and protected whatever. But if you weren't within a certain radius of a whatever plane or whatever, you would be failed. And that, I got so frustrated with it. Yeah.
You do have, I said Assault Horizon, I meant Ace Combat 7. Assault Horizon was the one before it.
Yeah.
But it is Ace Combat 7. But once you get you fly to your sort of locale of where your battle is going to be, and then you are penned in slightly, aren't you? Really. Yeah. Like you say, you can't leave. But I still find, even though it's, I don't know exactly how old, 4 or 5 years old maybe, the whole kind of presentation of it, it just felt like an old action movie to me from the 90s or something. It's so
cheesy,
dramatically cheesy. Yeah, it's not even trying hard. It's just being tough and really manly about it. But it just comes across, I felt, quite dated in terms of the whole presentation. Even though this particular story, some of the main characters are females, aren't they? They're women. But I just thought that was a bit of a strange thing. I didn't remember that. And also, the other thing I think with these sort of flying sim games, especially more the sort of Ace Combat version rather than Falconeer, is people always say, oh, it looks beautiful, it looks amazing. And I can see why they get that reputation. But when you're actually playing it, most of the time, you're seeing clouds, sky and land from thousands of feet up. Even the planes you're shooting are usually a couple of 1,000 meters away. So, you're just seeing blue or dark blue if it's nighttime. And I just
a black dot in the distance.
Yeah, most of your enemies are tiny on the screen. It's just, I thought I'd see why they get it, because some of the cutscenes and you can, after every mission, you can actually watch a replay of the whole mission again, and I guess you would get a better experience of the sort of graphical ability then. But do you really want to sit there for 10 minutes watching something you've just played through?
And I think if I remember rightly, on Ace Combat 7, you could actually create a video of your mission.
Yeah,
because I did that on 1 or 2 of them just to try it out.
Yeah, look how great I was.
Look at me, I was Top Gun Maverick.
Yeah, I find that kind of the approach, I don't think they could be able to do it again. Even when they come up with Ace Combat 8, I think it's going to have to change. And I think they tried to sort of make it a bit more sensitive in their presentation with having the female characters up front, but I just don't. Musically, it just ruins it all as well.
Yeah,
in terms of trying to be contemporary,
Yeah, I mean, it is amazing how the soundtrack of a game might take a game that's really good and make it really bad.
Yeah,
because it just takes away the feel.
Yeah, you don't even. I mean, the music. Thinking now, I can't even remember what it sounded like whilst I was actually playing in a mission. But just between the missions, in the menus and the cutscenes and things like that, it's so kind of Yorkie bar,
Yeah,
it's just, I don't know, throws you out a bit. Another game I downloaded quite a long time ago, and picked up again recently because it came onto Game Pass again quite in the last few weeks, I think, was Wreckfest. Have you tried this?
Not tried this one.
Essentially, it's banger racing, but it's it's quite good. I like it.
Is this sort of like cell shaded 3D?
No, it's more simmy than that. It's right. If you imagine, it's not graphically quite up to the level of Forza, but it's trying to be, and it's like that, but essentially banger racing. And if you approach it as an out-and-out racer, which I did initially, I think you're going to get frustrated and probably just throw it away. But once you start to learn the sort of little nuances of it and how to avoid banging into other cars, because it essentially is most of the time still racing. It's still first past the post, although you get bonuses for wrecking another car in a race or something like that, but they're only bonuses. Your main kind of experience points is earned through winning races.
Yeah.
But you learn how to sort of avoid the situations that will trash your car or make you spin out or things like that. And once you actually start to get used to the nuances of the game, it's quite good progression and quite enjoying it. And it will throw in you have different tiers and different leagues, and you progress through the leagues as you improve. And in every league, there's always one championship, which I've raced on lawnmowers now. I've raced on motorized engined sofas. It is really odd like that, but it kind of keeps it quite good fun. You know, it makes it, it breaks up the sort of racing all the time, you know, the twitchiness of the racing all the time. The cars handle pretty much as you would expect them. It's well done. And you have gravel, tarmac, mud, that kind of thing. And it is a really good representation of banger racing, I would say, especially, you know, download it and try it on Game Pass.
I might have a try of it, because just looking at some of the graphics, it looks quite good.
Yeah, it is good. It's good entertainment. I think it gets you kind of twitchy and involved, and liked it.
And the fact that it's got that added element of that sort of, like, for want of a better term, strategic way of driving that you've described, so that you get the bonus points for wrecking other people and stuff like that, takes away some of the boredom of the normal Forza, do 6 laps and get first, because I used to love those sort of games, but I find them tremendously boring now.
Yeah, I kind of went into it reminiscent of the old, was it Destruction Derby?
Yeah.
On the PlayStation, and Destruction Derby 2, which were great games, I thought. But, and it is, if you sort of updated that, you wouldn't be far off with Wreckfest, to be honest. There are a couple of, you get a couple of competitions, one every now and again, where it is more of just a destruction. There's no track as such. Mm-hmm. It is sort of last man standing, Royal Rumble kind of style. And they're still good fun. They don't throw them in sort of every championship that you do, because otherwise, you know, so it doesn't get repetitive. The tracks, sometimes they're figure of eights. So you've always, even though you could be winning with a lap to go, you always have to cross that middle X where the two tracks go past each other.
Yeah.
So there's always that possibility of getting completely T-boned by a car going the other way in the track. And it's good. I like it.
I'm going to try that one.
Worth a try, yeah, definitely. And the last one I tried just this afternoon was Hitman 3. Been playing a bit of that.
Oh, good stuff.
You know, mansion level. I completed the mansion level a while back. And that level just looks amazing. I think that mansion, all games need to take note of that, I think. Now, if they've got anything set, even in a modern house or what have you, that level of detail in that mansion is just phenomenal, I think.
What do you think of Hitman 3?
I'm quite enjoying it, but I don't think I'm very good at it. I mean, that's not to say I can't complete the missions, but that I don't think as logically, as the game needs you to think. You know, I think it's more of I've never been fantastic at kind of logic puzzles and that kind of thing. And I tend to sort of, and that's not to say I go in all guns blazing, because you won't survive if you do that. But it took me over an hour to do the mansion mission today. So, and I thought I'd seen people on YouTube doing it a different way to how I did, but they're doing it in like 35, 40 minutes. So
I watched a speed run of some people doing the game, not cheating, but using every exploit that they possibly can. That's borderline cheating. And I think like the Dubai level was completed in about 6 seconds.
That's crazy, isn't it? I mean, that's
and that's because they'd got so far through the game where they'd got a gun that they could shoot through walls.
Yeah,
so
like
they just looked up, shot them, and walked straight out of the place.
Why not? Just break the game.
Yeah, more or less. But I mean, I absolutely love the Hitman series. Did you get all of the other levels with it?
No, this is the first one I've owned. I
Right.
bought this one. I've said it a few times now, but pretty much on release or near release. And this is the first Hitman I've owned.
Well, if you get the other ones, what they've done on the other two is, if you're a gamer score whore, then you can get like triple bubble on this game. But in terms
I see them on the main menu.
Yeah,
Hitman 1, Hitman 2.
It's well worth getting, because if you actually buy the game, you get the levels again for free in the next versions. So I think at the moment, Hitman 2, the version with everything, is going cheap, like £10, something like that, which is tremendous value for money.
Yeah.
And then you'll unlock those levels for free in Hitman 3. So then you can in Hitman 3, so you can replay them, but with the 3 engine and all of the things that are in there as well. So it gives another...
It's good value.
Yeah. It's a really good way of doing it. And evidently they're not doing any more of the Hitman games on here, in terms of, this trilogy. But evidently they're doing a Bond game.
I heard that. Yeah, I heard that. That could be
Hitman 4.
You just make Agent 47 Bond James Bond, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be. Could work.
I think that that the engine that they've got will work really well, because that would, although Bond would be sort of like a little bit more cock up and then shoot everything, and it'd be a massive shootout. But
yeah, change the stealthiness slightly.
It would do, yeah, because James Bond tends to walk into the middle of the place and go, "The name's Bond, James Bond."
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I completed Hitman 3, and I absolutely loved that as a game. The level designs in 3 are beautiful. That mansion level is absolutely fantastic. But I do like the Dubai level as well.
Yeah, me too. Amazing.
Yeah, it looks great. The going outside, you really feel the height on it as well.
I think in some ways it's a bit of a shame that you're above the clouds, because it would have been interesting to see like a ground level, as it were, from that height.
Yeah, it would have been.
And actually just see little ants walking along the floor, and as in people. But it looks beautiful, I think.
I love on there the sniper challenges.
Yeah,
they're really, really good fun to do. And what I love about the way that they've designed the game is that there's all of those unlocks. So when you complete the level, it goes through and it'll colour in a box depending upon what you've done.
Right.
Or whatever level it is. And each level has various different challenges. So, for example, kill the target by an accident, kill the target without changing your costume, or kill the target with a specific costume, or shoot all of the ducks, or, whatever it is. I think on one of the shooting ones, there is ruin the wedding. So you've got to shoot the bride's bouquet, shoot the mic that the singer's using, and also shoot the stand that's opening up the piano, shoot the alcohol that or the wine that the priest has, shoot the cake, and shoot something else. But you've got to do all of these things, and it sounds easy, but it's not, because you've got to do it in a way that's not suspicious.
Yeah.
And because the bride's wandering around and stuff like that, you've got to make a stop, and then you've got very limited amount of time to shoot the bouquet before you actually would shoot through the bouquet into her. So it's all of these little things that they've got, all these different challenges. Makes the game very much more replayable, a lot more than any other game I've found.
I agree, yeah.
But I also loved that Hitman Absolution as well. That was another great game.
I haven't tried that.
That's a 360 game that has got a remaster on the Xbox One, together with Blood Money. You get the two together. But Absolution is my favourite of the Hitman games up until 3.
Right. Other than that, I've been playing my staples of a bit of FIFA, a bit of PGA, and this week I played a bit of Skyrim as well. Still playing it even after all these years. Skyrim.
And I played a bit of Skyrim as well.
I know you love it.
I played a bit of Skyrim, to be fair. So I had a bit of Fallout 4, and then I remembered I hated Fallout 4, and then I stopped playing it.
I quite enjoyed Fallout 4 as well. Considering in a lot of respects it's basically Skyrim and Fallout 4 are the same game.
Yeah.
It's just different skins and slightly different mechanics, but not hugely different. But yeah, that is my gaming for this week.
Right. Well, for me, I don't have much more to add other than I played Mr. Pumpkin Adventure, which is a point and click. I'm going through my point and click phase at the moment.
Bit like Telltale.
I can't remember who it's by. It was part of a pack. It was an indie set, but it's been one that's been only available in America up until recently. You haven't been able to buy it in this country. But it's evidently critically acclaimed. You set out on an adventure of self-salvation in a world of magical vegetables, of all things. It's got a very unique art style. It's like quite crazy. Some of the puzzles are quite good. It's a couple of hours completion sort of time. And I got it as part of a pack with Clocker, an Alien Cuisine.
On PC.
Alien Cruise, rather. The Mr. Pumpkin Adventure, that came as part of a pack with those ones. I've yet to play Clocker, that's another puzzle game. But Alien Cruise is a shooter, it's like very sort of hand-drawn-y kind of looking shooter as well. Horizontal scrolling sort of thing. It's not too bad. It's not going to ever set the world on fire.
Hand-drawn R-Type.
Yeah, apart from nowhere near as good as R-Type. And then the other one that I was playing was Grim Fandango Remastered. So that's from the house of Tim Schafer, and LucasArts. So you play Manny Calavera, who's a travel agent to the dead. It's nice that the game's been remastered. I like the fact that all of these old point-and-click games are getting remastered, because I think that it's a loss in a lot of what we do nowadays, that those sort of games have pretty much disappeared apart from seeing the remasters come up.
Yeah.
But I don't know, Grim Fandango, I'm not feeling it the same way as did with some of the other ones that have played, like Day of the Tentacle and stuff like that.
Right. It's got a lot of big fan base. A lot of people wanted to see it remastered. Yeah,
definitely. I would love them to do a remaster of the old Indiana Jones point and clicks.
Yeah, and the ones I always used to enjoy were the Monkey Island.
Yeah,
fantastic games.
You can get those
humor,
on 360.
The puzzles. Yeah, I think they're in my library on the Xbox, and I think I've got them in Steam as well.
Mm.
And my PC can run those. Those 20, however many years old.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I've been playing mostly. I've just not had the time because of everything that's been going on in my personal life and work. It's just not the time to invest in anything major. I did have a go at the Falcon because you said you were playing it. I don't know. I must have had the sensitivity controls wrong, because I found the controls too loose.
Not as in not responsive enough.
No, too responsive.
Oh, I I don't know. I got used to it. I think it felt weird going to Ace Combat after that, but it's different enough a game for that to you didn't last long. But
oh yeah, totally talking chalk and cheese, aren't they?
Yeah, Falconeer I thought controlled fairly well once I got used to it. I think.
Yeah,
I've always quite liked flight sims though.
I think I've come off recently playing X-wing. Squadrons.
Right.
So, Star Wars Squadrons. So I think that's probably where I struggled a little bit more because I'd got used to that sort of controls, and then going into something that's another sort of like flight game, but completely different. And it just, I don't know, I probably struggled more, but I could have adjusted that by changing the sensitivity of the controls. So
yeah, but I don't tend to look at settings really when I start a game though.
If you start a game, do you play the game on whatever is default, or do you go on to easy, or do you go on to hard, or does it depend on the game?
I tend to, in terms of difficulty, I'll start on default. Whatever it starts me as, I'll go with it. Some games you have to pick. I think, what was the sort of alternate reality World War game? They had New Order, Young Blood. What was that?
Wolfenstein.
Yes. That, I'm pretty sure with that, you choose your difficulty before you begin.
And with Doom as well.
Yeah, same. Yeah. So I tend to just choose a middling difficulty. The only thing I will change every time, if it isn't set, is invert my look.
Right.
I am an inverter.
Okay. Nothing wrong with being an inverter.
Do you invert?
No, but I'm not opposed to it either. I can play it either way. It'll just be because some games come in with it switched on by default as well,
which is good.
Not many, but some do, and I just whatever goes, I'll go with that. Normally, it's very rare that I'll go into a setting.
But in a flying game, it's normally inverted anyway, isn't it? Because it will be up is down, down is up anyway, and that's. I don't know whether I just cut my teeth when I was young on flying games or what, but even playing shooters, Skyrim, Hitman today, anything, it's always inverted.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, well, that's some good gaming talk. So we'll go on to movies, TV, and streaming.
In quest of a better life.
Okay, so movies, TV, and streaming, and we've got some Blu-ray DVD releases. Do you want to do them, Mark?
I can. Okay, so March 29th. This is the week of March 29th. We've got A Christmas Carol Goes Wrong on DVD. Never too late for a Christmas movie. We've got Black Lightning Season 3. Bram Stoker's Van Helsing on Blu-ray and DVD. We have Defending Your Life Criterion Collection on Blu-ray. Dragon Ball Z Season 5. Got the Steelbook edition and a Blu-ray and DVD. We've got Ernesto on DVD. Fairy Tale Final Season, Part 26 on Blu-ray and DVD. Fate Stay Night, Unlimited Blade Works, Blu-ray Collector's Edition. Then we have Humanoids from the Deep, Blu-ray, a 1980 movie. One for Steve. I Was at Home, But is a title on Blu-ray. King's Glaive Final Fantasy 15 on 4K Blu-ray. Lost in America, Criterion Collection on Blu-ray. Memories of a Teenager on DVD. Nemesis on DVD. Peter Pan Goes Wrong on DVD. Then we have Pink Films Volume 5 and 6. Underwater Love and Woman Hell Song on Blu-ray. Rawhide, the complete collection on DVD. Soul, that's a good Pixar movie. Watched that over Christmas. That's on Blu-ray, 4K Blu-ray and DVD. Sword Art Online Alicization Part 2 on Blu-ray. Take Back, which is a Mickey Rourke movie on DVD. The Black Windmill on Blu-ray. And The 10 Commandments, the original 10 Commandments. What a classic. On 4K Blu-ray. That's your DVD releases.
I've got a couple more. We've got V for Vendetta, the Ultimate Collector's Edition, and Witch Hunt as well.
I do apologise.
It's all right. Don't worry. It was over the next page.
It was.
Any there that catch your eye? I know you're not a big movie fan, but...
certain movies I like. I'm always... I quite enjoy Bill Murray in movies. So Nemesis on DVD, that would be pretty good one. Other than that, there's a lot of them there I've never really heard of, or some of them at least.
Have you ever watched V for Vendetta?
Long time ago, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, long time. Is it Natalie Portman?
Natalie Portman and Hugo Weaving.
Yeah, that's right.
When he's not being an alpha agent.
Yeah. Yeah, good movie. Yeah. I seem to remember enjoying it.
Yeah, it's one of my all-time favourite movies. It's got John Hurt in it as well.
Yeah.
It's a very sort of 1984 kind of movie. It's got Stephen Fry in as well. So, it's a good cast, but obviously Hugo Weaving plays a part of V, and V is dressed up as Guy Fawkes, and he's trying to blow up Parliament because it's a fascist dictatorship.
What a hero.
Yeah, or as we normally call it, Monday. So, yeah, some good films there. I think Rawhide would be good. I've not seen Saw, but I want to get round to that. I've watched the...
Rawhide is...
the original Lord Green. Rolling,
it is good. We watched it, I think we watched it Christmas Day afternoon with the kids. And it was, it's quite entertaining. Graham Norton has one of the minor characters voicing in that, believe it or not.
Really?
And it is obviously him as well. I remember him announcing it on, I think it was either his radio show or his chat show. He told the audience, and then when you hear it and watch the movie, you think, oh yeah, that's Graham Norton.
Do you get Disney Plus?
Yes,
because they've got the sort of like Disney Insights or whatever it's called, and it did one on Soul on there. Yeah,
it's just I think it's just having its first birthday, isn't it? Disney Plus of launch last week or a couple of weeks ago,
something like that. But I mean, it's great value now, especially now they've added Star, so you've got all of the more adult.
Yeah, very much
movies
so.
Like Aliens and stuff like that on there.
Yeah, really good. Yeah.
So in terms of Blu-rays and DVD charts, at number 5, down from 2, we've got the Lord of the Rings trilogy. A new entry at number 4 is Nightwing and Shadow of the Hawk. Number 3, up from 4, is Harry Potter, The Complete Collection. Number 2, a new entry, is Mortal Kombat and Mortal Kombat 2. And at number 1, a re-entry, is good old Cap with Captain America and the First Avenger. No doubt everybody catching up on the Captain America because of Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yes, my daughter is a massive fan, so she's all over that.
All right. So have you been watching the new Falcon and Winter Soldier then?
No. For Christmas my daughter's 14 going on 25, and for Christmas we got her own Skybox in her room.
Oh, nice.
So she's got Disney. She's got all the apps, Disney Plus, Netflix, anything that's on Sky now, plus her iPad as well. So gets home from school and it's like, oh, you're right, love, good day, and then she vanishes until dinner time, basically.
Yeah, that's a bit like the way that my son is. It's sort of like he comes in, hi Pops, and the next time I see him is when he says goodnight Pops, so that's it.
Yeah, similar feeling, to be honest.
Yeah. It's nice running a DOS house.
I have got a younger son. He's 10, and that requires, he's more engaging, shall we say? But
won't be long.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
So, have you got anything to talk about movies, or because you didn't have any notes on that? So.
No, I to be honest, I forgot to put them in. I'm sorry, but
that's all right. That's fine.
No,
that's fine.
I could I can give you some info on my kind of tastes, I suppose.
Yeah, go on.
Star Wars, obviously, is movies. My favourite, probably ever, is Episode 4. In recent times, I think the best one they've done is Rogue One. That I thought that was really well made, to be honest. Just generally the story of it, the way it fitted in between the episodes, I think just that was a great movie.
It did change change A New Hope very slightly though, because it changed Princess Leia's speech from I'm on a diplomatic mission to Alderaan. She looked as guilty as a puppy sitting next to a pile of poo.
But then, hindsight's a wonderful thing.
But other than that, I think that they fit it in so well. And yeah, you could tell that Peter Cushing's character was CGI'd, but it was done incredibly well.
I think it was drawn and created incredibly well. I just think it looked... I'd seen better CGI in older movies in terms of the way that character creation fitted into the world. Do you see what I mean? I thought the lighting he seemed to glow a bit on the screen, which I think they could have maybe toned that down slightly. I thought it was a bit too obviously CGI'd. But that's really nitpicking about the movie. I think it was just a very well weaved into the whole universe and the storyline. I thought it was great, yeah.
So, honesty time about Star Wars.
Don't ask me about 8.
You liked it, did you?
No.
Oh, thank God for that.
I thought it was quite disappointing.
That's the understatement of the century. That's a bit like saying that Bill Gates is well off.
Yeah, true. But,
or Elon Musk.
Yeah.
But no, that actually my honesty question wasn't going to be that, but seeing as you opened up that rabbit hole, I thought I'd push you through it. My question is, do you watch more than the movies
in terms of Star Wars?
Yeah.
Have I? What else have I seen?
So have you seen The Mandalorian?
No, I haven't. And that's not because I don't want to. That's just been a timing thing, really.
I really got to see that. It's brilliant.
Yeah, I will get round to it. The only movie I haven't seen the Solo story either. But I do own it. I buy them day of release. Digitally, of course.
All right, okay.
But I don't. Is
that on the Xbox store, or where do you buy?
No, iTunes.
iTunes.
And that started. I buy everything digitally or musically. I stream most, unless it's someone I particularly like, and then I'll buy it digitally or buy a CD or what have you. But the whole digital buying of movies started when my kids were small, because I used to have thousands of CDs, literally thousands, and because I was quite an avid collector, and that wasn't so much of a problem. But when you start getting DVDs that the kids want to watch, when I was at work, they would watch them themselves, and things don't get put away. And so I just thought, what am I doing? I've got Apple TV there. Let's just start buying kids' movies on iTunes, because it takes all of that out of the equation. There isn't really anything to trash physically. So that's how I started getting into digital purchasing. And even then, I just ended up sort of trading 80% of my CDs, I think, 80, maybe more of my CDs. So now I just have a couple of boxes in the loft of ones I couldn't bear to part with. And I've still got the Star Wars movies on DVD, and I'll probably get the 4K versions physically at some point. But that's so. Even gaming, I am almost exclusively digital now.
Fair enough. So, Star Wars shows.
Yeah.
Have you watched Clone Wars? Have you watched any of the animated stuff?
Rebels. I haven't kind of religiously watched it from every season, but I have watched some of the Clone Wars and the animated things. Yeah. But the Mandalorian is one I really need to get to. Yeah. The whole Baby Yoda thing.
Yes. It really is good. It's the best Star Wars that there's been since 2000s. Basically, but it's definitely well worth watching. So what other sort of stuff are you in other than Star Wars? Because I don't think you're a Trek fan, are you?
Do you know what? I don't mind the series. I won't watch them. I started watching a bit of Discovery. I've always been a big Jean-Luc Picard fan personally. I thought Next Generation, although I've watched it because it's being repeated or it's on Netflix or something, I saw it. I've watched them recently. They do look a bit dated now, but that is my favourite Star Wars, I think. Favourite Star Trek, rather, is The Next Generation.
Yeah.
So I've watched most of Picard, certainly the first. They're just on one season, haven't they? or two.
They've
two
just done
now.
one. Yeah, they're filming the second one at the moment.
Yeah. So I've seen, I can't remember how many episodes now because it was a long time ago, but I've watched Picard, and I mean, Patrick Stewart's a legend, I think, in my eyes.
Yeah, he is fantastic guy. Did you listen to the podcast that me and Alan did?
I did, yeah. I listened to it up until I stopped listening to it when I'd stopped watching it. If you see what I mean? I didn't want spoilers, as it were.
Yeah, we went down a few rabbit holes on that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what else?
So TV-wise, I tend to watch sport, obviously. Well, it's not obvious, I suppose, but I tend to like programs like QI. I'm a big fan of QI. The podcast, No Such Thing as a Fish. Do you know that?
No, not come across that one.
They're basically, you know QI though?
Yeah.
So when they refer to the QI elves are a group of people that also make a podcast.
Oh, right, okay.
Called No Such Thing as a Fish, and it's one of the biggest podcasts on iTunes. It's fantastic. It's very very entertaining. You need to give it a try if you get the chance.
I have to be honest, and this is a weird thing to say as a podcast host, I don't listen to many podcasts.
I don't listen to as many as I used to, but I still give that a listen. They're only usually about half an hour, 40 minutes. So if I go out walking, which when I've been in lockdown and furloughed, I've been going out most days, I'll plug one of those in and listen to it, or it's very entertaining. I like comedy shows, basically. I watch comedy or sport, and that's most of what I watch on TV when I'm watching TV. But I don't watch a lot of TV, really. I know that's weird to say in this day and age, but no.
Well, I don't know. I think we have so many different types of escapism nowadays, don't we?
Yeah. I watch. I subscribe to a few channels on YouTube. Some of them are kind of. I collect sort of. Don't want to scare people, but I collect knives and things like that. I'm a chef, so knives and fire are my thing. So I do collect the odd knife here and there. So I'll subscribe to a few channels about knives, or do you know what I mean by EDC, like everyday carry? Yeah. Just basically knives, watches, anything, torches, anything like higher end stuff, anything like that. I subscribe to a few of those channels.
When you say knives, are these cooking knives, or are they multi-purpose knives, or any knife at all? Or
well, some of them are like folding knives that you put in your pocket. Some of them are like chef knives or kitchen knives. The channels I look at tend to cover bits of everything, really.
Yeah.
Some of them are what's called bushcraft knives. So it would be when you go camping or something like that. Whatever you take to get your logs for a fire or something, that kind of thing. And some of the channels I subscribe to a couple of channels that are more about building, outdoor camping and that kind of thing. It's not just the weirdo with the knives. I'm sure Alan would understand.
I'm sure he will. So, any other interests?
What else? No, I mean, recently it's been difficult to do anything, to be honest. But I have been walking a lot. I tend to. That's been I guess you could call it a hobby now. Yeah. Various places. Leaving from my house, obviously, at the moment, because you're not really meant to go anywhere else. But I live very close to the sea, which is really nice, right on the south coast of England, for anyone that wants to know, down in Sussex, West Sussex. I work in a town called Arundel, which has a big residential castle, a big cathedral. It's beautiful. It's like walking into something out of Disney. And you take it for granted when you work there because you walk through it every day. But it's a big tourist town in the summer, under normal circumstances. So walking around there is beautiful as well.
Good stuff.
But,
good stuff.
And gaming.
Well, why not? Well, going back to gaming and TV and movies and streaming and all of that, a couple of things I'll just talk about for people. Obviously, Falcon and Winter Soldier, which your family will be greatly watching. Latest episodes dropped. It sees Sam and Bucky finally joining forces as they go against the Flag Smashers. And we see more about the new Cap, and I'm 100% positive new Cap's going to be evil by the end of it.
I tend to pass your insight on to my family, so I'll tell my daughter, and she'll go, "Oh, how do you know that?"
Well, I'm glad that I'm helping you on impressing your daughter.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I give my wife your TV recommendations as well, like Resident Alien. I told her last week, and
has she enjoyed it?
They've been, pretty much. You're a reliable source, Haydn. I tell you, as far as she's concerned.
I was talking to my a friend of mine who I used to work with, and I said to him, and funnily enough, this isn't Steve, but Steve, if you're listening, because I know you don't normally listen when you're not on the show, but if you're listening, Steve, this still applies to you, and that is Cobra Kai. Gotta watch it. It's absolutely.
It's. I'm right in thinking it is from the original Karate Kid, right?
It is the original Karate Kid. He's in it.
Yeah.
It is, and it's the original Johnny.
Yeah.
It's all the original cast, but it's also with like younger, like next generation kids as well. And it's more Johnny's story because it's about him re-establishing Cobra Kai, and then his sensei comes back, and it is really good. But it gives you lots of insights into all of the characters, and it takes that very. Daniel was like the hero, blah, blah, blah. Well, actually, if you look at it in a certain way, Daniel was kind of a bit of an idiot, and he was just totally, how can I put it? Pushing his nose in and having an impact on Johnny's life. And it tells you a lot of the sort of like views of what I really love about the way that they've done this show is that they've taken the bad guy and actually made him a good guy, but then they make him a bad guy again and then make him a good guy. And you constantly ping-ponging between who you support out of Daniel and Johnny. It's fantastic the way that they've done it. I think,
Daniel's son.
Yeah, it's one of the best ways of, it's the best example of taking an old movie and making it into a new show I've ever seen. It's just brilliant what they've done. I would highly recommend anyone to watch it.
Maybe Steve will get to it when he's convalescing.
You know what'll happen? Steve will say, "I have found a new show." I know what he'll do. It'll be like this hallelujah sort of moment, and then I'll say, "Yep, just like I told you 2 years ago."
He'll come on and recommend it to you.
Yeah, he will. He will, forgetting that I've already recommended. Mind you, I nag him about it so much, but he's Resistance. And he likes Star Trek. He should know that Resistance is futile.
Yes.
But anyway, so Falcon Winter Soldier, yep's good. I've actually got, my wife started listening to me after 18 years. She started listening to me about television shows. Hallelujah. Praise the Lord. I know it's taken that long to persuade her, but she's suddenly realizing that actually sometimes I do recommend something good. So I wouldn't recommend Falcon and Winter Soldier to her because she just couldn't get along with it. But I've been wanting her to watch Peep Show, the Mitchell and Webb show. I absolutely used to love that
it's funny.
Years ago.
I like Mitchell and Webb generally.
I do. I think that they're so funny. And Armstrong and Miller as well, all of those sort of ones.
Yeah.
And I always loved Peep Show. It's got Olivia Colman in there as well, Patterson Joseph's Alan Johnson. I love that character. He is so smooth, and seeing that character break down in the later episodes, and he's living in a council house and all of that sort of stuff. It's just fantastic. But we've completed the marathon of watching all of those episodes.
Wow.
And that took about 2 weeks. And then I suggested another show, which I'd just watched, and I watched over 2 nights. And this was last night, at about 5:30. We were sat there. No, sorry, 7:30. We were sat there, and my wife said, "What should we watch?" I said, "Well, there's a new show on Netflix. It's called Behind Her Eyes."
Right.
And basically, it's about a single mother who meets a guy in a bar, strikes up a good talking, talk to the getting along, but he snogs her leg, he leaves. He says he can't do this and leaves. And then it turns out next day she walks into the office and she's his new boss. And he's a psychiatrist, and he's moved there with his beautiful wife, and and she's sat there, and all of this, that, and the other. Basic long story in short is that the wife was unstable. She was in like a addiction sort of place or something. She'd went through a traumatic event. He'd saved her, from a fire that her parents died in. She was fabulously wealthy, blah, blah, blah. She strikes up a friendship with a guy in this place as well who's gay.
Right.
So he's not a threat to whoever.
No.
And then this is 10 years later. He's now a psychiatrist. And then he strikes up an affair with Lucy, the character, and a wife. Adele befriends Lucy as well, so she's sort of like off having it away with her husband, and then going to the gym with her, and then it gets very dark, and it ends in a way you would not believe at all. It is really quite gripping, and this is super unusual for my wife because she's normally like, I'll watch a couple of episodes and then that'll be it for the night sort of thing. We watched all 6 episodes back to back. We ended up finishing
quite an indictment.
It is. My wife never goes to bed after. It's like she turns into a pumpkin at 11 o'clock at the latest. She went to bed at 1:45.
Wow.
After watching this whole series, it is really good.
And that's
really,
Netflix.
Really good. That's on Netflix. It's Behind Her Eyes, and then another one that's really good on there is The One.
Right.
Which is a show about a dating company. And what they do is, rather than having your personality based, it's genetic dating. So they look at your DNA and find out who you will instantly fall in love with. And it works every time, sort of thing. And it's about how that impacts on different people's lives, like people who are married, people who aren't married, and a lot of mystery and intrigue about a murder to do with one of the company's founders. And again, that's another Netflix one. Well worth watching both of those. Highly recommend them both, but especially Behind Her Eyes. That was something else.
I will look into it.
Definitely something else. And hopefully your wife will like them.
Yeah.
And it'll give you a bit of gaming time at the same time.
Yeah. We have a room with 2 TVs in it, so that she can watch on the big TV and I can sit next to her and game on the Xbox.
That sounds like a perfect arrangement to me.
It's great. Yeah, just put my headset on and we're both together and doing what we want to do.
That sounds like the perfect arrangement. All right then, so let's go on to the last part of the show, which is the listener questions.
John, what's happening to us?
Okay, so listener questions, and this is where Mark is going to be doing a Being John Malkovich, because Mark submitted 2 questions. So you're going to be able to answer your own questions here.
I wasn't going to, but why not?
Well, why not? Be John Malkovich for the day.
Indeed.
So, do you play certain games at a certain times of day or even days of the week?
Well, this came about because it's Sunday and we tend to have a kind of get all the housework done. Certainly since I've been furloughed and off, not working, we get all the housework done on a Saturday so we can have Sundays just completely chilled. So I tend to wake up and play PGA golf on a Sunday morning. And that is my kind of chill out on a Sunday morning. You're just there on the fairway, or hopefully, and chilling out. And I was wondering whether you do the same, or anyone else for that matter.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sort of like what the mood will take me.
Me too, usually. But it just seems to, I don't know, I just find that the golf seems to fit really well.
On the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just on a nice wake up, slow ease into the day.
Yeah, well, it is that sort of like, yeah, it's that sort of just get up, relax, chill.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine that would be really good. We're the sort of like opposite. We kind of like, try and find every excuse under the sun not to do the housework and then rush around and do it at the last minute. But I think that's probably because my wife and I are both working constantly, during the week. So, her office is the dining room table. My office is, my office. So, yeah. But I'm a gamer late on a night. That's when I tend to game most of the time.
I mean, when I'm working Saturdays anyway, so most of the time I wouldn't be here for the housework, but also I tend to start quite early in the mornings when I'm working, so I'm usually I try to get to sleep by about midnight. Doesn't always work, but
no.
So late nights is only really for the weekend.
So are you open like 7 days a week and you do occasional full weekends and that sort of thing, or do you not work Sundays?
We open 7 days a week, yeah. We're a cafe and a restaurant, so we open from 8:30 in the morning, and we're not open every night. We tend to open Tuesday to Saturday, so we're not open Sundays and Mondays.
Right.
Or sometimes we open on Tuesday, but not always. So we prep for the daytime and the week ahead on the Mondays, Tuesdays, and then we prep for the Wednesday night opening as well because it's same kitchen, same staff, but completely different menu at night as well.
Mm.
So it's double the prep basically, which it's a bit foolish, but it works really well. We're quite busy. I mean, the sad thing is, just before the November lockdown in October, even with the reduced capacity and the spacing on the tables, we had our busiest weekend of the year. Last year, that was. And that included like January, February, March, before the pandemic even started.
Yeah.
It was just like the old days. But yeah, so I tend to work beginning of the week and then Friday, Saturday, and tend to be off Sundays and midweek. And fortunately, I tend to not have to work many nights because I tend to do the early mornings instead, which means I can get to work sort of not much past 7, work through till anything up to, usually I like to get out by about 5, half 5, but it can go on till 6, half 6, whatever,
Yeah, I know what you mean.
It depends how it's going. But so gaming late nights doesn't tend to be very compatible.
No, I can understand that. I have terrible insomnia issues, so for me it's just par for the course, really.
Yeah, sorry, I dribbled on a bit.
No, it's fine. It's brilliant. So do you want to do the next question?
Sure. So my next question is, how long do you give a game before deciding that it isn't for you? And what's the longest time you've had between buying a game and playing it?
Well, for me, how can I put this? I'm looking at a couple of games above behind my monitor right now. For example, Sniper Elite 4, still have it in its wrapper.
Isn't that on some free service now, I think?
It is actually. I've had it so
or it was
long.
given away or something, I can't remember.
On a free service, and Battleborn.
Wow.
Still in its wrapper. Probably never going to play that now. I'm probably never going to play that now because of shutting the servers down.
Yeah, well, it released that Battleborn and Overwatch were kind of released almost head to head, I think within a week or two of each other.
Yeah.
I seem to remember, and Overwatch just took it and ran with it, really.
It obliterated Battleborn, but Battleborn's not a bad game. I mean, to be fair, that's the PlayStation version. I've got the Xbox version over there, so I have played it, but just not on that format. Like I've got Anthem sat there for PlayStation as well. I've got it on Xbox, but I'm not going to be able to play Anthem because I'm going to close the servers down, evidently, for that.
Yeah, the game, it's almost defunct, isn't it, really? It will be.
Yeah, well,
which is a shame.
Yeah, because I think it had a lot of potential.
Yeah, I think I think they did it a disservice, really. I think they didn't. Maybe it wasn't as successful as they were hoping it would be, and just didn't put any more in, much more into it. Maybe I don't know. But for me, carry on.
I was going to say, what about for yourself?
Yeah, for me, I was just looking through some of my library. As far as deciding whether I'm going to be into a game or not, I think that can happen quite quickly, usually. Like within half an hour or maybe an hour at the most. And you just think, yeah, that's, this is not going to click. Between buying and playing a game, I think I'm like yourself. I think I've probably got physical copies of some games. I bought Borderlands 3 because I saw it on a really good offer. And I think it's still wrapped. I don't think I've taken it. It's not to hand at the moment. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that's still in the cellophane. I think I remember playing Borderlands 2 the day I bought it. I played Borderlands 2 just to refresh myself with the kind of style and format and get back into it, and then got distracted and never went back to Borderlands 3, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I bought the Handsome Collection, I bought the pre-sequel, I bought Borderlands 3, and I just don't play them. I think it's the inconsistency in the difficulty curve.
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't know whether I got the kind of expansion Borderlands games, but I certainly owned the first one, the second one, and the third one, the main ones. And Borderlands 1, I loved it. I played loads of hours into that game. But since then, I don't know whether it just got left behind and it was a different time for me, maybe. But I didn't really give the other two a chance.
Do you find that sometimes you might have a very mediocre game, but the story will pull you through it?
Possibly. I'm
thinking like Uncharted 4, otherwise known as Ultimate Mountain Climbing Simulator.
Yeah.
The game in itself is not good, but the story is really compelling. And there is some really nice sort of like set pieces in there as well.
Yeah.
The big action ones where he's, being pulled along behind a lorry or train or whatever it is and stuff like that.
Yeah. I think... But the thing with Uncharted is I think it's it's almost cinematic anyway. So it's, there are elements of it, like in the set pieces or what have you, where you're almost playing through a movie. You get an element of that. So maybe you're more immersed in the story,
Yeah.
As far as I would say, I think if I'm not clicking with a game, I don't think the story is going to be enough to pull me in. I don't think, especially if it's a mechanics issue or a controls, if they're a little bit off or what have you, then I think story alone wouldn't stop me being distracted by something else.
Yeah.
And for that, I'd probably miss out on things because of that, I would say.
Yeah, because if you've not played The Last of Us, The Last of Us to me is one of those games that the game is not good, the story is fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I was trying to think of a game where I have been pulled in by the story. Are
stories really even important to you as a game?
Yeah, they can. I mean, one thing, when I talk about stories in a game, I think for me, one of the things that springs to mind is Half-Life. I really quite enjoyed those games. Half-Life 2, I think, is a great game, and I know the kind of want of Half-Life 3 from fans has been going on for years, but they were not short games either. Certainly Half-Life 2 wasn't a particularly short game for that kind of FPS genre that it's in. It was quite a lengthy game of the time, but I was also quite involved in the story as well with those. I thought they were quite compelling. I mean, the weird thing is the games I've put the most time into, like Breakpoint and Skyrim, things like that, the stories are a bit sort of meh, really. Certainly the Ghost Recon games, you don't really play those for the story. They do try. Breakpoint was a bit different. I mean, that was interesting in as much as it was quite sort of technology-based, futuristic. That was kind of interesting, but it's not, it wouldn't have the impact of something like Uncharted 4, I don't think.
Yeah.
It's not cinematic, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean. Did you, when you did Wildlands Breakpoint, did you do the Sam Fisher and the Predator stuff in there?
Yeah, I did those. The Predator was so difficult. Really took me plenty of attempts to get that. But because Have you done it?
No.
Do I spoil it? No,
Yeah,
no, I won't.
We'll go spoilers because I, to be honest, it's probably something I'm not going to get round to.
Right. So with Wildlands, when you as soon as you get near that area where you can go into that kind of battle area with the Predator, the music starts, so you know you're in that area,
Right.
and you'll start hearing the roar as well. But once you go in, it's a hell of a battle, depending on any difficulty. But I just do what I normally do and played on the default. But once you kill the Predator, the game is triggered the next part by you getting close to it to have a look. But then the Predator sets his, like he does in the Arnie movie, he sets his self-destruct.
Right.
So then you have to sprint as fast as you can against a clock. And so even if you kill the Predator, if you get caught in that self-destruct, it's quite a reasonably big circle around it, and you have to get outside the circle. If you get caught in there and you don't escape, you have to start the whole process again.
Oh my God.
And you can be, so many times, I got right close to the edge, and then the explosion happened, and it just resets you back to just on the edge of the circle to start all over again.
Wow.
And it's crazy. It was infuriating. But the time I did it, because you have a squad in Wildlands, my 3 squad mates didn't make it. They got wiped out, but then you revive them. You know, that's the mechanic of the game.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just made it.
Oh,
but
very good.
it's yeah, it was tough.
Yeah, good stuff. Okay, so Jason Toon is asking, with the Snyder Cut finally out in the wild, are there any other cuts of movies or drastically different, never-made sequels you'd like to see brought to life? Personally, he'd like to see the original Alien 3 movie they had planned when it was supposed to be set on Earth. Wasn't that also related, sort of converted into Alien versus Predator or something?
I was trying to think. The Alien 3, that was the one on the penal colony, right?
It was, yeah.
With Brian Glover.
Is it Brian Glover?
He was one of the convicts. Wasn't he a convict in that? I believe.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
God, that's a name from the past. I quite enjoyed I haven't watched it for a long time, but I thought Alien 3 I seem to remember enjoying that.
Yeah, I didn't have a particular problem with Alien 3.
The problem I would have...
Charles Dance, who was in there. He was in that.
Yeah. I think the problem I'd have with setting it on Earth is you risk... is it Predator 2 with Danny Glover?
Yeah.
I mean, that was a bit... it wasn't a great sequel, I don't think.
No. And it stopped the sequels dead for quite some time as well. Yeah. And I think you'd risk having that effect on the Alien franchise. Yeah. Possibly. I don't know. So are there any sort of like director's cuts you'd like to see?
Well, the episode 8 of Star Wars.
Yes.
A recut of that, maybe. But...
or chucking out of what was filmed and a refilming entirely.
Yeah, remake. What
with
else?
A new story, because that was a road trip. That wasn't a movie.
Yeah. I mean, it's not so much a sort of a sequel, but I wouldn't mind seeing how you would make some of the original Star Wars or Star Treks now, So, and just I love the original 3, 4, 5, and 6 Star Wars movies, but I'd still be quite interested to see what you could do with those stories and even those scripts, even if you took the exact scripts now, and just to see what the technology could bring to it, and whether someone would go completely overboard or try and keep it a bit more realistic in a Star Wars universe.
Yeah. I would love to see George Lucas's vision of 7, 8, and 9.
Yeah, he does. He did a great job when he did the movies.
Yeah, I mean, he wrote himself into a corner with the original episodes for the prequels.
Yeah,
and it's sort of like, when you think about it, like Darth Vader on The Return of the Jedi was like 42, 43. I always think of him as like much older. I don't know why.
Yeah, well, he looks much older.
Well, as much as I can.
Despite his injuries, yeah.
As much as I can, a guy completely dressed in black in a helmet that was obscuring his face.
I'm thinking of when they take the helmet off at the end.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely.
He looks in his 60s.
Yeah.
And I think the actor, I can't remember who it was now, but probably is.
Sebastian Shaw?
Yeah, I think so. Is that right?
I think so.
I'm not sure, but yeah, I mean, he looks much older than early to mid 40s.
Yeah, definitely. well, that was the thing, because that sort of like blew my mind when you actually started working out the causality of, you know, or the chronology for Star Wars. It's sort of like, wow. I mean, it's today I just had the epiphany. I was watching Back to the Future Part 2 again, and I thought, I wonder how old Christopher Lloyd was when he filmed Back to the Future Part 2. And I got the shock of my life when I realised I'm 3 years older than he was.
Yeah. I think the thing with Christopher Lloyd is, I think he tends to look older than he actually is, and he has done for a long time.
Yeah.
Because those movies, I think he looks like a mad old scientist, like he's playing very well. But he's not anywhere near that old at the time of making them.
No, Steve and I actually saw him at Destination Star Trek when we went.
Fantastic.
And I nearly walked into William Shatner while he was sat on the bridge of the Enterprise. I walked round the corner and continued going, talking to Steve, and not realising I was walking into a photo shoot.
Hi, William.
Yeah.
Billy.
Hi, Bill. I always remember, and I'm so sorry I've forgotten the guy's name, but was when Steve and I got approached, and it was by somebody who listens to the show. He was a guy from Scotland, and it was like, say, "Oh, you're Haydn and Steve?" Yeah, yes. "Oh, I'm a listener, blah, blah." And it was sort of like his first time, and it was like, hang on, I'm a fat dad from North Yorkshire. That's William Shatner, and you're not going, look, it's William Shatner. You know, it was a very, very weird moment, I have to admit. Yeah, that was so good. I mean, for me, yeah, I think the George Lucas doing those the last movies would have been great. I would have liked to have seen J.J. Abrams, how it would have changed if he'd have done 8 and how 9 would have been different, because I think that would have been totally different. I am 100% certain that Rey would have been Luke's daughter to Mara Jade.
Yeah.
Because there was all the talk about Mara Jade was supposed to be going to be in that. Karen Gillian was supposed to have shaved her head so that the wig could be made for Mara Jade. You know, there's all these sort of stories going on, and I just think that would have been the right way of doing it, because that whole she's a Palpatine but says, you know, I'm Rey Skywalker at the end was sort of like that was just rubbish. But sorry if I spoiled the end of the very not exciting sequels for you, by the way. But to be fair, they have been out a few years, so it's not exactly old news. And I would love to see what is being talked about at the moment, which is the 6-hour version of Avengers Endgame.
Why? Don't put yourself through it.
No, I put myself through it through Zack Snyder's.
Well, that's 4 hours, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And do you know what? Over 10% of that is in slow motion. That's not even a joke. Someone has actually analysed the movie, and if you take out the credits at the end, 10.5% of the movie is in slow motion. I have to be fair, when you're watching it, it feels like 100% of the movie's in slow motion. But
25 minutes of slow-mo.
Yeah. It's how, you know. But it's Zack Snyder, he likes all of that. And every time that Wonder Woman appears, and it's the same bit of music every time she appears.
You don't get 25 minutes of slow-mo in Match of the Day.
No. God. Anyway.
Okay, shall I do the next one?
Yep.
Right, Richard Mortlock asks, hypothetically speaking, if you were single and the most beautiful woman in the wanted to date you, but you had to give up everything to do with gaming, would you do it?
Is she rich?
Well, I was going to say I'd have to ask the wife.
Yeah. It's funny how a different approach is there.
If I was single, but I had to give up everything to do with gaming. That is difficult.
All right. Shall we just maybe let's say, who's your favourite actress? If you know who's the one you go, yeah.
At the moment, who would that be? Let me think about that. You carry on. You've parked that on me now.
I would say Scarlett Johansson.
I would say Scarlett Johansson, maybe. I don't want to seem ageist, but a few years ago, she was pretty hot. Yeah, pretty nice, I suppose. Trying to think. I think Karen Gillian is pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Redhead. I like Redhead.
Yeah, I like Redhead. That was why I went Scarlett Johansson sort of thing, thinking it was in Black
My
Widow.
wife's a redhead, so she won't mind me saying that.
No, my wife's not, so she would mind me saying that. But yes, I might be persuaded.
Emma Watson.
Scarlett Johansson.
See, thinking Karen Gillian, have you seen a movie called The Circle?
Yes.
Emma Watson, she's quite sweet.
Yeah.
Bit young, maybe.
Bit young, yeah.
But Karen Gillian's in that as well, isn't she?
Well, I don't know. She feels older. She's like very young, but old enough.
Oh, you're talking about Emma Watson now?
No, Karen Gillian.
Oh, Karen Gillian, I don't know actually, but she strikes me as being reasonably older than Emma Watson.
Yeah.
I don't know whether that's because Emma Watson's been around forever, courtesy of Harry Potter.
Yeah, quite possibly. So if one of these beautiful women came along and said, Mark, I have to have you for the rest of my life, but I'm not putting up with your gaming.
Karen Gillian came up to me and said, ditch the gaming and I'm yours forever.
And you were single?
I was single.
And no kids?
Yeah, I think I'd go with it.
Yeah, I think I would as well.
I would miss gaming, don't get me wrong.
Oh, yeah.
Miss it quite a bit, but I could probably find other things to occupy my time with Karen Gillian.
Well, she'll be away acting half of the time anyway, so I'll just get the game console out at that point.
Well, you're not allowed, are you? You wouldn't be allowed.
She wouldn't know, would she?
Nice.
I've had an affair, with an Xbox One. Or just get a really complicated PC and make sure that you hide the games well on it, and then you'll just say, "No, I'm just doing video editing."
Yeah. You never know.
Yeah, but I'm creating a video through the games.
Switch screens when she walks in the room.
Yeah, exactly.
No problem.
Okay. So Lee Doherty's question is, if you were Sony and money was no object with big third-party developers and publishers, would you buy to compete with Xbox Bethesda acquisition? Or is that who would you buy?
Yeah, who would you buy to compete?
Yeah.
Well, in a different style to Bethesda, how I'm going to offer you the 2K games, people, I think. I mean, they're sports-based, but they sell big. I think they're making money, I'm imagining.
I'll take that 2 games and I'm going to call you with Ubisoft.
Oh, that's a good one as well.
Yeah. Whole of the Assassin's Creed franchise.
Yeah.
Wildlands.
My
Division.
My Wildlands and my Breakpoint, my Ghost Recon.
Yeah.
The other people I was thinking of also was Square Enix, maybe, but
yeah,
I don't think
that.
They're not in such a big league, I don't think.
No.
I don't know. I think maybe it's because of personal interest, but I'd probably go 2K.
I'd go Ubisoft because I love their games. Most of the time, I've got loads of their games, and most of the time, if I'm a bit stuck, they tend to be ones that I would migrate towards the Assassin's Creed sort of thing. I can't believe I'm still playing Assassin's Creed 2 after all these years.
No, it's like me and Skyrim though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Still switch Skyrim on every week, at least once a week, I would say.
Yeah, and I collected all of those blooming feathers for the achievement as well. And got the cape.
Commitment. I don't know whether that's commitment or you should be committed.
Properly both. I should commit to being committed. Nice one. Okay, so do you want to do the next one?
Right, so Paul Wilson asks, how much money would you be willing to pay per month if you could pay for a subscription on a gaming system on PC that would on a gaming system or PC that would give you every new release and they were guaranteed to stay available for 12 months? How much are you willing to pay for that?
$15.99
per month.
For everything.
All formats you're talking about.
I'm presuming it's only
Doesn't
on the format
specify,
that
does
it's...
he?
No, he doesn't, but I'm expecting it means if you're on Xbox, it's all Xbox.
You get all Xbox, yeah. I think if it meant I would not be paying for Game Pass, and I wouldn't, well, I suppose you'd still have to have live for the online play, but I would up that. I'd probably pay at least 20.
I think
if you take 20 a month, that's £240 a year. What's that? 6 games at the most? No.
Well, that's probably the most that most people will buy is 4 or 5 games.
Possibly, because you're getting it from your streaming, your subscription already, aren't you?
Yeah.
And that's the way I looked. I got Game Pass pretty much straight away as soon as it was available, because it was actually just before Crackdown 3 was going to be released, and I'd also pre-ordered Sea of Thieves. And I just thought, that's almost a year's subscription just in those 2 games of Game Pass. And they were both going to be available on Game Pass from day of release.
Yeah.
So I cancelled the pre-orders and just went with Game Pass.
It makes complete sense.
Yeah, because I think 2 games covers your year's subscription. And thinking of it with Xbox, 20 quid a month, I think.
Yeah. I think
that's upper high end, limit.
I'm trying to go what I thought might be the cheapest you might get away with it.
Yeah.
So I was thinking £15.99, but I think £20.99, not 21. That psychological point of that penny. But I think that would be that's a Goldilocks zone that they should aim for if they're going to do something.
We're both in a similar ballpark, aren't we? Really, we're saying between £15 and £20 a month. Because
don't forget, if you applied that then, and it was for each format that you were in, so you get Xbox, or you could get it on PlayStation, or you could get it on PC. Then if you wanted it on all of them, that or the higher end is going to be £63 a month, more or less.
And that's
more than a Sky subscription for a lot of people.
Yeah, I think it would, having that kind of format and subscription plan, I think would make people more exclusive.
Yeah, because and I think
you wouldn't want to get something on something else if you were already paying your subscription. You wouldn't want to buy a PlayStation game if you could get it on Xbox, where you already pay your £20 a month or whatever.
Yeah, but I mean, this is the thing about digital games, though. It's the video game lie of the last century, which is video games are expensive because of the delivery of manufacturing the discs, printing off all of the sleeves and the manuals and sending it out and it getting into the shop, and then they're taking their cut. So why is it that games are 90% of the time cheaper physically than they are digitally until you start to get to the sales?
Yeah, but I think it's because you pay a premium for convenience, don't you? I think that's the digital argument. It's the fact that you can sit in front of your TV or your PC, click a few buttons, and depending on the game, within an hour, you can be playing, rather than having to leave your house. You don't even have to leave your house.
I don't understand why.
Or order online.
I don't understand what they should have done in this generation to keep the physical copies going and keep the digital is have a hybrid of the two, so that you could buy it online, but instead of getting a disc, what you got was a smart card, like about a credit card size thing with a chip on, and having a reader on your console. You push that in, it reads the code, downloads it from the store, puts it on your machine, because it's going to install it from the store anyway, even if you've got it on disc nowadays. And then you don't have the fragile discs that could be broken or whatever. You've got a little plastic card, and then you can trade that card later on. And if you've got a code on the card, that code could effectively be unwrote from the card, so that until you put that code back on by saying you've uninstalled it, you put that code back on the card, then you can trade that card. They could do it that way.
Almost a mechanism where you have the product key to unlock the software is on the card.
Yes.
Like if you want to play a back-compatible game now on Xbox, you still will have to have the physical disc in the machine.
Yes.
If you played it physically, if you bought it physically in the first place.
Yeah.
So you could have that kind of similar mechanic, but you have the product key on the card, push the card in. I like that idea.
I think that would be much better.
I'm still not sure it would. It depends. If you had that and a digital store still on the machine itself, I don't know. But it'd certainly be a convenient in terms of storage, just to have like a credit card sized game, essentially.
Yeah, that's what
physical storage anyway.
Yeah, I just think something like that would be a much better way of doing it, because and then you wouldn't need these big boxes. It could just be a printed card.
The only thing I think they would need to change is make the hard drive capacities much larger.
Oh, God,
certainly internally, and then you obviously add whatever you want on the outside. But your digital storage would have to be massive, wouldn't it?
Oh, God, yeah. But you need that now anyway, because all games are installed.
Yeah,
and
true.
How the XS has like 400 and something gigabytes
because of the system. Yeah, memory takes up some, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It's a token gesture, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now
I can't understand why. I seriously would love Microsoft to say, you know what, we like this smart quick launch stuff, but if you're not bothered about it, you can install your next gen console titles on your hard drive and you'll get load times. I'd be up for that.
Yeah. Is it which of the Call of Duties is it? Warzone or Black Ops? The new Black Ops that now, if you have a 500 gig hard drive, it can take virtually all of the space on that hard drive. Minus the system memory, just in one game. That's crazy. I think that's, in some respects, I think that's poor game development, but I don't think it's very gamer friendly. But that's the situation we're in now, and it's not going to get any better, is it? Really, for the big games?
No, definitely not. It's just going to get worse, especially as we go up to 8K games, which I reckon that the PlayStation 5 is able to do. It's on the box, but not that they've enabled it or anything. No,
you have to have an 8 gig display as well.
Yeah, first. Exactly. So Justin's question, last one, is do you think there are almost too many games nowadays? It may seem a strange question, but I find it absolutely staggering when people say that there are no games to play or that there is nothing coming out. Do you think that the service nature, the service-based nature of gaming, like PS Plus Collection and Game Pass, means that our attention span for games is getting less and less?
I think he may have a point, to be honest. I would like to think not, but I think for some it is easy. The games themselves are becoming a little more disposable, maybe.
Yeah, I think he's onto something there, because I feel if I've got something on Game Pass or Games with Gold or PlayStation Plus or even PlayStation Now, because I subscribe to that as a service as well, when it comes to that game, I'm much more lackluster at how much I approach it. Whereas I think if I paid £40 or £50 for a game, not that I very rarely pay £40 or £50 for a game, but if I paid that amount of money, I think I'd be more driven to complete the game.
Yeah, definitely. You feel like you have to, don't you? If you pay
for money,
you want to get value for money out of something you've spent £50 on, whether it's a game or a movie collection or whatever. But if you're paying a subscription month in, month out, regardless, that means the games you're accessing, or even things like Netflix, if you don't like it, you just ditch it, don't you?
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't seem to be. It doesn't have the weight, I suppose.
Yeah, I think it's a good point.
I think he's. It is a good point.
Yeah. Okay, so that's it. That's the questions for the week. Mark, it's been fantastic talking to you. I've really enjoyed our chat tonight.
Yeah, thank you very much. I've enjoyed being on, and hopefully it was a little bit entertaining.
Yeah, I think we'll definitely have to have you coming on again if you want to come on.
Yeah, I can probably arrange something.
Okay, well, we'll talk about that more. Do you want to give your contact details?
Yeah, so I'm Ace Plantman on Twitter, but I don't tend to use that much now. My main place really is Instagram, which is Kitchen Smith, all lowercase and an underscore at either end. I'm not a massive social media poster, but that's where I tend to be the most active on Instagram. My gamer tag is Kitchen Smith again. That's just, I'm pretty sure that's just as it is, just all lowercase again. Let me just check that. But yeah, so that's on Xbox. My PlayStation, I'm there so rarely I can't remember, if I'm honest.
I think you're still down as Ace Plantman on there.
Am I? No, that'll work. My son does use that as well, but I also, that's still mine.
Yeah.
Sort of. But yeah, so Xbox Kitchen Smith, Instagram Kitchen Smith with an underscore either end. That's the main ways.
Right, fantastic.
Yeah.
So you guys know my stuff. If you're looking for me on YouTube, just search for HERJ UK. Exactly the same on Twitter, PSN, Xbox Live and Steam. The only exception being the Epic Game Store where I'm Pop Culture Gamers. Don't forget you can also follow the show on Twitter at Pop Culture Gamer. There's our Facebook group. There's also our Facebook page. If you've got an inquiry, you can email podcast@popculturegamers.co.uk and in our website, anchor.fm/popculturegamers. So that's it. That's show number 111 up for a wrap. Thank you very much for joining us, Mark.
You're welcome. It's been great to be here.
It's been
Thank
great
you for having me.
It's a pleasure. It's been great having you. And it's a good night from me.
And it's a good night from him.
Good night.
Good night.